All right, let's get into part two of They Live Amongst Us video. Um, just want to go into one area here or start in one area here, and we spent time on part one looking at the Moroccan Moors and their beliefs, and I'd have to say that just from my research, investigation, readings, etc., uh, that the Moors from Morocco and that were here in this country at the time of the Revolutionary War and before and up through the Civil War period, they were very patriarchal. In other words, they passed things down through the seat of the father, and I think that, or I shouldn't say I know that we being sons of Jacob or Jacob, um, we also follow that same patriarchal lineage. In other words, we pass things down through the father. However, there have been provisions. Like I said, I think in the previous video I made two mistakes. I credited Jacob as the individual that helped drive the Canaanites out of this world. I think I mentioned it twice. It should have been Joshua. And then as far as the providing the maternal line, the opportunity to pass through lineage, I had mentioned a tribe, but it wasn't a tribe. Actually, it was this story here in Numbers 27, and the daughters of Zelophehad did not have a male heir, and so the Most High. We'll just kind of go into it here, where it says, "Then came the daughters of Zelophehad, the son of Hefer, the son of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, of the families of Manasseh, the son of Joseph. And these are the names of his daughters, Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. And they stood before Moses, and before Eleazar the priest, and before the princes, and all the congregation, by the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, saying, Our father died in the wilderness, and he was not in the company of them that gathered themselves together against the Lord in the company of Korah, but died in his own sin and had no sons. And why should the name of our father be done away from among his family? Because he has no son. Give unto us therefore a possession among the brethren of our father. And Moses brought their cause before the Lord. And basically, the Most High basically said to Moses, the daughters of Zelophehad speak right. Thou shalt surely give them a possession of inheritance among their father's brethren, and thou shalt cause the inheritance of their father to pass unto them. So he had definitely provided a provision in the effect that there were no sons to carry on a bloodline. So, but for the most part, the seed of Jacob is patriarchal versus tracing lineage through the maternal line. And there's a reason why I bring that up. I'm going to play a video clip here of an individual. And again, nothing personal against this individual. I've listened to a lot of his videos. I think he's got some great, fantastic information. I would definitely advise you to subscribe to his channel. But again, as a whole, our people are somewhat lost, and we've learned things that we need to unlearn ourselves from. And in this instance, I'm going to let you listen to what this gentleman has to say with respect to family lineage.
So when you say that, basically what you're saying, to give an example, is this. I mean, let's bring it up in today's terms. Let's take Kanye West. So Kanye West is an indigenous American male, and he marries this Kim Kardashian chick. They have a baby, and the baby is gonna be, and stop me if I'm wrong, if they have a baby, is the baby considered European or is a baby considered American?
as far as I'm concerned, is considered African American because I ain't into Kanye West or Kardashian, and they don't stand for our people. And I'm sure.
I understand that. I'm just using it as an example. You can take their names away. I'm just using something so the audience can get familiar with it and try to follow what you're saying. So if you got a cat like Kanye, we can use somebody else, but it doesn't have to be that person. It can be any person. So when a brother marries a European female, I'm under the understanding that I don't care if a brother marries and have a baby with a European female, whatever medium that child comes through, they are what the mother is. Because those eggs have been passed down from generations to females pass down their eggs.
Well,
example, you can take their names away. I'm just using something so the audience can get familiar with it and try to follow what you're saying. So if you got a cat like Kanye, we can use somebody else, but it doesn't have to be that person. It can be any person. So when a brother marries a European female, I'm under the understanding that I don't care if a brother marries and have a baby with a European female, whatever medium that child comes through, they are what the mother is. Because those eggs have been passed down. Person, it can be any person. So when a brother marries a European female, I'm under the understanding that I don't care if a brother marries and have a baby with a European female, whatever medium that child comes through, they are what the mother is. Because those eggs have been passed down from generations to females pass down their eggs from generations. My sister get her eggs from her mother. My mother get her eggs from and on so down the road. Anybody can fertilize those eggs. Also, too, normally, people when they have babies, the baby is normally has an allegiance to the mother. So I'm saying when these brothers have these babies with these all these other people, they may think that the baby is, and I've heard brothers say that baby's black. It's not. It's European go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said you're right because you always follow the mother's bloodline.
Right.
Okay. So right there, that's a perspective of some of our indigenous natives that also call themselves Moors. So just wanted to throw that out there. And this whole mother lineage thing is not new, or I mean, it's very old. And I just kind of wanted to focus on that a little bit, just to kind of show you the origins and how common this is. What I want to do is let's pull up. Let's see here. Um, let's pull up this Wikipedia page here. And so let's kind of understand, what does it mean to be matrilineal or matrilocal. So matrilineal means property is passed down through the maternal line on the death of the mother, not that of the father. And then matrilocal means new families are established in proximity to the bride's extended family of origin, not that of the groom. So it's the complete, I don't want to say opposite, but it's definitely different from how we reckon the passage of property and goods and so forth, how it gets passed from father to son. So you just heard the gentleman just state that there are some indigenous communities in the U.S. That actually go through a matrilineal uh, process, I guess, for lack of a better term. Anyway, so where does this come from? And this is not new. Let's take a look at, uh, for instance, the Israelis, those that call themselves Jews. Okay, um, let's see, what do they believe, right? And let's see here. Uh, Let's see here. Thought this was a good link to show. Maybe not. Okay, so here we go. So modern Jews claim the use of maternal descent based on nor shall you make marriages with them. You shall not give your daughter to their son, nor take their daughter for your son. For they will turn your sons away from following me to serve other gods. So the anger of the Lord will be aroused against you and destroy you suddenly. And so what they say is that since verse 4 mentions turning sons in plural away, they claim that it's referring to the descendants of the marriage, and thus the argument that the mother determines the lineage. And if you do or do not know, in Judaism, um, if the mother is Jewish and if the father is a Gentile, the children are automatically considered Jewish. However, if the father is Jewish and the mother is a Gentile, the children must go through a conversion. So it's also matrilineal. So interesting little point there. And again, where does that come from? Well, it goes all the way back to what I would call mother-son worship. And as you know, mother-son worship has been around for numerous ages. I kind of had another link here. I got too many links up. I don't know where I put it. Here we go. I mean, even in Christianity, um, the existence of a mother-son worship is prevalent. Um, yeah, here Christianity, as created by the Roman Church, is another form of the ancient mother-son serpent cult religion. So again, another form of the mother-son serpent cult religion. And there's more. um, let's see if that's even relevant to what we're going to. Anyways, if you go down here, Mother Mary is El, the Dragon Queen. It is no surprise, given its origins in Babylon, and I would say it's probably even older than Babylon, that the Roman Church would so emphasize the importance of Mary, the goddess figure, and its version of El, or Queen Semiramis. El was also known as May or Mother May, and so we have May Day, one of the most popular ritual days of the year for the serpent cult Illuminati. Interesting also is that El, we also know that El stands for God in the Canaanite religion. So you see here, you're seeing both the representation under the word El of this Queen Semiramis person and the Most High. But again, Christianity is, without a doubt, another mother-son religion. And I think it's all evident, those of us that were brought up into it or have gone through it or have experienced it, there's a strong emphasis on, maybe the term worship is too strong, but on this whole mother-son worship, Mary and Jesus, especially amongst Catholics. Mary is revered as a very important person in the foundations of that faith. So you see that mother-son relationship. Well, I said earlier that I believe that it's older than Babylon, and I believe it goes all the way back to the story of Noah's Ark. Um, let me explain here. If we go to, let's see here. All right, let's go back to where we were. I think it was Genesis 10. Type in Genesis. Oops. Let's see. It wasn't 10. Okay, so we see here, it says, Noah began to be a husbandman, and he planted a vineyard, and he drank of the wine, and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and told his two brethren without. And Shem and Japheth took a garment, laid it upon their shoulders, and went backward and covered the nakedness of their father. And their faces were backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness. And Noah awoke from his wine, and knew what his younger son had done unto him. And he said, Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. So this little passage right here has caused a lot of issues. I shouldn't say caused a lot of issues, a lot of misunderstanding. We've seen where our oppressor, from a supremacist point of view, have always taken this verse to say that the curse that fell upon Canaan was the black skin of people of Ham. Now, it's kind of dumb when you think about it. Ham's the father, but the curse goes to Canaan. So how can Ham's sons be cursed with dark skin? And, I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, regardless, that's not what this whole passage is about. So the key phrase here is nakedness of his father, their father's nakedness, right? And covered the nakedness of their father. And the other common thought is, well, Ham had a homosexual encounter with his father Noah. That's so far from the truth. That's just ridiculous. Now, again, the key here is nakedness of his father. So let's go to Leviticus 18. And then in verse 7, the nakedness of thy father or the nakedness of thy mother shalt thou not uncover. She is thy mother. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. The nakedness of thy father's wife shalt thou not uncover. It is thy father's nakedness. So it's pretty clear right there. What is the father's nakedness? It's the nakedness of thy father's wife. So what really happened between Ham and Noah's wife? Now remember, I seriously doubt that Noah's wife was Ham's mother, because it never states that. It never states that in Genesis when they bore the ark. It just says the wife of Noah. And in my research and in my reading, I have a tendency to believe that all three sons may have had different mothers. But right now that's just a theory, and I just want to leave it at that. But definitely, Noah's wife was not the mother of Ham. So I think by reading what it says here in Leviticus 18, it's pretty clear that Ham, in the drunkenness here that was going on between Noah and his wife, must have had relations with Noah's wife, and in that relationship was birthed Canaan. So, this is where things really start getting interesting here, because what basically we're saying here is that Canaan's mother was Ham's I guess mother-in-law, stepmother, and Noah's wife. So uh, when the nations were somewhat dispersed and everybody was given their allotment, think about Canaan. Yes, he is reckoned amongst the sons of Ham, but he still gets his own portion as if he is the son of Noah, which is really interesting. So, there again, you have the mother, which is Noah's wife, and you have the son Canaan. And so there is your mother-son relationship, which is the beginning of all this false worship that takes place in the ancient lands. And if that's kind of hard to kind of take in at this point, that's fine. Do your own research and your study. But I can tell you that that little incident there that we read about back in Genesis 10. Whoops, went too far. This little incident right here in Genesis 10. Whoops. Wait a minute here. Here we go. Genesis 9. I'm sorry. Where Ham seeing the nakedness of the father, well, that's the mother, and Canaan is the offspring of that relationship. And again, so you have Canaan, and then you have the mother of Canaan. So there's your mother's son worship. Now I know there's some people that find that to be somewhat of a stretch, but let's go back to Genesis 3, and again, I ask people to go out and research this, and if I'm in error, please come back and correct me. When we talked about, let's see, where was it? It was after this here. So, I'm looking for this. Here we go. So the descendants of Cain, which is really interesting here, is that the names of the sons of Cain and the names of the sons of Seth, who replaced Abel, are almost identical. There's some differences, but it's really interesting how the names are very similar. And there's something behind this. And maybe if I have sometime in the future, I'll spend some more time to look into this and see if I can find something that may have been hidden from us. But what's interesting to note is that it's the descendants of Cain that are in fact recognized as the ones building cities and so forth. In other words, here, and Cain knew his wife, she conceived and bare Enoch. Okay, well, there's also an Enoch on the Seth side, right? And he builded a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son, Enoch. Which is interesting because I think we've seen, in Mexico, we've heard of Tenochtitlan, and I think one of the brothers, I can't remember who at this point, had stated that the T is sometimes silent in the pronunciation based off of his understanding of the Egyptian hieroglyphics. For example, Tiamri and other names that this world may have been called at one time by the Egyptians. But if you use that same logic, you can see right there that, well, he built a city and called the name of the city after his son Enoch. It very well may be that Tenochtitlan may be the city that Cain built for his son Enoch. And let's continue on. And unto Enoch was born Irad, and Irad begat Mehujael. Mehujael begat Methusael, and Methusael begat Lamech. And so, just as on the Seth side, there's also a Lamech, and Lamech played an instrumental role on the Seth side, which we'll talk to. But right now, let's just focus on the Cain side. And Lamech took unto him 2 wives. The name of one was Ada, and the name of the other was Zillah. And again, you don't hear mention of any of the wives on the Seth side. And Ada bore Jabal, and he was the father of such as dwell in tents, and such as have cattle, right? And his brother's name was Jubal. So Jabal or Jabal and Jubal. He was the father of all such as handle the harp and organ. And Zillah, she also bore Tubal-Cain, an instructor of every artificer in brass and iron. Now, what's interesting is that if you look at the line of Cain, you'll see a mention of a city being built, and you see that these people were actually industrious. In other words, they dwelt in tents, and they had cattle, and they were into music, and they also were very good with brass and ironworks. So if we go forward and look at the descendants of Adam as called out through Seth, we'll see that Seth lived 105 years and begat Enos. And Seth lived after he begat Enos 807 years and begat sons and daughters. All the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. And Enos lived 90 years and begat Canaan. Enos lived after he begat Canaan 815 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Enos were 905, and he died. Canaan lived 70 years and begat Mahalalel. And Canaan lived after he begat Mahalalel 840 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died. And Mahalalel lived 60 and 5 years and begat Jared. And Mahalalel lived after he begat Jared 830 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Mahalalel were 895 years, and he died. And Jared lived 162 years and begat Enoch. So here's the Enoch of the Seth line. And Jared lived after he begat Enoch 800 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. And Enoch lived 60 and 5 years and begat Methuselah. And Enoch walked with God after he begat Methuselah 300 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Enoch were 365 years. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. And then we go to Methuselah living 187 years. He begats Lamech. And Methuselah lives after he begat Lamech 782 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. Longest living man, I think, recorded. And then Lamech lived 182 years and begat a son, and he called his name Noah, right? And saying, this same shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands because of the ground which the Lord has cursed. And Lamech lived, and he begat Noah 595 years, and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. And Noah was 500 years old, and he begat Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So we see the last person, I should say the last person. The name of Noah is reckoned here after Lamech, right? And then if you notice here, in the line of Seth or Adam, the dates and the years of the people are mentioned. So there's something in the story, and I just haven't quite gotten my fingers around it, or the Most High just hasn't brought it. I'm sure he definitely brought it to my attention because I realized it, but the understanding really hasn't quite come yet. But you see how the sons of Seth, their years and days are numbered, right? All right, and then they only show the male line, okay? But then if we go back to the line of Cain, right, it doesn't tell us the ages of these patriarchs, right? But it also describes the names of the wives, okay, which are the mothers, right? And it also shows that, it talks about them building a city, that they dwelled in tents and had cattle, and they were able to handle the harp and the organ, and they were very good artificers or instructors of brass and iron. So very interesting. And then the very last person that's named in the genealogy of Cain is Naamah. And there's a lot of theories out there, and there's theories that say that, this Naamah right here, the reason why she's the last person mentioned in the line of Cain is that this happened to be Noah's wife. Now, people will say, well, how can that be? I thought this whole thing had to do with bloodlines. Well, if you go back, remember the portion that the Most High can make a provision, right? If there's no male heirs, right? But the Most High did say of Cain, he said, and the Lord said to Cain, why art thou wroth? This is the whole Cain Abel portion. And why is thy countenance falling? And he says, well, here, he says, if thou doest well, shall not thou be accepted? So in other words, he's telling Cain, hey, if you do well, you'll be accepted. Just like we know the story about Job. Job was an Edomite, but he did well and he was accepted. So is it too far of a stretch to believe that Naamah could have been the wife of Noah? Now, in some extra biblical books, there is another Naamah, supposedly the line of Seth, that is listed as the one that married Noah, but I'm not so sure. I mean, when I read here in Genesis 5, I see no mention of any of the females within the line of Seth. And that's not to be sexist, it's just, again, we got to get past the carnality of things and understand what it is that the Most High is trying to teach us. What is he trying to show us, right? And then so you see that Noah is the final patriarch before Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And then we see here in the line of Cain, we see that Naamah is the matrilineal descendant of Cain. Okay. Now there are other extra biblical Jewish writings that state that this Naamah, in fact, is the wife of Noah. So if Ham had relations with this Naamah person, all right, and they had an offspring, then it makes sense that they named that son Canaan, right? It makes perfect sense. And sure enough, because of the embarrassment, it very may well have been that both Naamah, the wife of Noah, and Canaan left that camp, and thus they became the mother and son symbol that we see prevalent through all religions, in existence today. So, just a theory, just something to throw out there. And with that understanding, we can also understand why the males, in our communities are attacked legally, and also physically. For instance, the laws of this nation practically make it hard for a struggling family to be a whole family. What I mean by that is that it's much more economical for a woman to drive a man out of the house and collect welfare for the children that she has. And so it's I mean, just look at the system. It's just driving us, our people, to be matrilineal or matrilocal. All the laws, I mean, are definitely pointed against the males and against and against the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, and how we are supposed to instruct ourselves in our daily lives, and how we watch over our families, and how we reckon our families, and how things are passed through. It's like our ways are foreign to the people of this land, and it's getting worse and worse as time goes on. Yeah, so I just want to, from this point on, close out this video and really, understand that, in part one, I kind of emphasized or spoke more so about the Moors in America and their presence. They've been here. They've always been here. What I mean by Moors, I'm talking about the Moroccan Barbary Moors. And they have in fact established treaties with the people of this country. And then we have those Moors of the Moorish science belief, which is pretty close to the foundations of the Barbary Moors. And then you have the indigenous people here that call themselves Moors. And so there are some differences. I just wanted to call them out. Not saying that if you're a part of this, that you need to come out. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, look into your heart, and just keep seeking after the truth, and pray for wisdom, and I really believe that spirit or that energy is going to lead you to the right place. So with that said, I'm going to close this out, and we'll talk to you folks in my next video.